Hello, can you hear me? Can we proceed now?
Yes,
Yes, we
Doctor.
can.
All right. So now, as I was discussing, I really would like to emphasize or repeat the theory of intelligence according to Sternberg, the so-called hierarchic theory of intelligence. No, this is an offshoot of the proposal of multiple intelligence according to Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner mentioned about eight. Actually, he started with seven, then eight, then nine. Then there is another psychologist who really would like to unify the concept of intelligence, the areas where an intelligent person may excel at. And they were able to identify three. That's the reason why we call it triarchic theory of intelligence. And they were able to emphasize on these three areas or three aspects, such as academic problem solving skills. So we teach students in the classroom, and they were able to utilize all the learnings that they have, the theoretical knowledge and the skills in order to solve the problems is specifically for academic purposes. Now, like you can actually test this using intelligence tests, and at the same time, examinations given at the end. Then the practical intelligence, as I explained to you, and the other one also is the creative intelligence. Now, so there are basically three. That's if you're going to look on the nature of intelligence, this really is one thing that can capture all the areas as such. Okay, and then there are three components or three parts of intelligence.
Excuse me, Doctor.
Yes,
There is no slides.
there's no slide. You
Yeah.
cannot see my slide. Okay, I'm very sorry. I thought I was sharing already. Yeah, thank you so much for the reminder. Now, can you see what I'm sharing now?
Yeah, we can see now.
All right. So I stopped here a while ago. There are three parts of intelligence. That's all componential intelligence, several components. So we are going to look into that. The way we decide, the way we utilize the information, the way we acquire knowledge and utilize this knowledge in order to decide. The so-called experiential learning. You see? In experiential learning or intelligence, we utilize our experiences in order to solve problem. So bottom line again, the acquisition of knowledge and solving the problem that we actually have would be an offshoot or would be the main area where we can use our definition of all intelligences. Now, people utilize so many approaches in solving problems. And sometimes they solve problems successfully, sometimes they don't. Now, as long as you are going to attempt to solve problems, you utilize already some sort of intelligence that you may actually have. The higher success rate that you may have may be dependent on the more knowledge that you could actually have acquired. So the higher you could actually solve the problems that you may have, the better your intelligence will be. Okay, experiential intelligence and then contextual intelligences. This is like academic intelligence that we may actually know of. We teach students, then the students may actually revert back or may actually answer back or return that. No, that's academic intelligence that we know of. That's contextual intelligence. Now here are the influences of intelligence that we have. Now, the evidence from studies, from adoption studies, and from other research that seem to indicate that heredity plays significant part in determining intelligence. Now, they're trying to prove right now in between the conflict on nature and nurture. Now, here, so many psychologists are always telling intelligence actually may be acquired from the genes of your parents. Therefore, genetics will play very important role. Heredity will play very important role. Therefore, it is seemingly that nature could actually could win over nurture in this definition on the influences of intelligence. No, so evidence would actually show that heredity would play a very significant part in determining intelligence. No? So most behavior geneticists conclude about half the difference in IQ between American and European whites is the result of genetic differences. So they are already leaning toward heredity, leaning toward genetics. Now, in a way, they are trying to compare cultures from cultures, race from race. And they were able to find the differences between different races. This is actually races also, which I do not want to indulge on, but there are research that would actually show that one race could be superior from the other. So in terms of IQ, now IQ between American and European white is the result of genetic differences. There is a big problem in this case. Now it is difficult to pinpoint the exact proportion of responsibility to be born by heredity, as always, because there is always an ongoing debate between nature and nurture, heredity and environment, since the way the two influences interact prevents one's ability to look at them as separate ingredients. Now, the way I am still looking at it, I am still actually at the middle, looking into the differences and influences of nature and nurture, or heredity and environment. Because I always mention and I always believe that environment will always play a very important factor in shaping the intelligence of a person. You provide a very good environment to a person, then you are actually assured that that person may develop intelligence. This is the thing that I believe on. So now I'm telling you also, as students, the reason why you're actually attending classes is that you are going to come out with your own decisions eventually. We are teaching you about these theories, then later on you can come out with your own decisions. So in decision making, you utilize all the acquired knowledge that you have before you can actually conclude what to believe in. This is exactly the thing that we would like to pinpoint. This is exactly what I would like to teach you about intelligence. The ability to decide on your own, the ability to solve the problems on your own, using the knowledge that you acquire from attending your classes. Now, there are so many influences that we could actually derive from. Debates are still there because until now, there is no clear winner. There are actually a group of psychologists who tell heredity influence intelligence. But there is also one side of the coin that says, no, environment will play a very good role. Environment can actually influence intelligence. So I'm still believing on environment, no? Even though your parents are geniuses, if you are going to provide a very good environment to that, then that person may not actually develop their own potential. Intelligence may not be acquired, as I believe. Intelligence may be developed. You provide a very good environment to your children, then you can actually be sure that your children may become intelligent in the end. It depends on what approach you're going to use also. Anyway, there is another factor that influences intellectual development. That is actually your nutrition. Okay, nature, then heredity. Of course, nature is heredity. Nurture is the environment, and that is the third factor. It's very crucial and it's very important. Nutrition, no? Nutrition. Pay particular attention into this because I believe you are having nutrition. Are you done with your nutrition class or is still ongoing? Hello?
Yes, last year.
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, we took it last year.
It's very important that you have an idea about what nutrition is, no? Because this will be incorporated also with the ones that you are going to talk with your parent, with your patients. You should know the knowledge about nutrition. Now, as psychologists, this is very important, no? Because we are actually basing our intelligence in terms of the development of the brain. You see, the more the brain develops, the better it will be. The more nourishment that you can actually have, the better it will be. Now, you're learning in biochemistry that brain utilizes a lot of adenosine triphosphate. And these are all given in the nourishment that we are actually utilizing, especially the carbohydrates and other sugars that we have. That's the reason why we consider this as fuels. If you are undernourished, then there is a problem. You cannot actually wire the brain properly. Therefore, you cannot decide properly. You cannot do logical thinking properly. So this is actually the main point. In fact, if you are still growing, if your child is still growing, then if you are having malnutrition, then the problem will be that the child may not fully develop their own potential. This is actually the main point. Now, severe early malnutrition seems to retard intellectual development. This is proven. That's why in the area, I think in the 1980s, in the 1970s, where famine and droughts were very prevalent. The drought affected so much population in the African countries, and no doubt children were affected, no? So in terms of intellectual development, they were actually suffering. That's the reason why so many psychologists actually pinpoint or mention about IQ between different culture. Maybe because of this, the way we eat food, the way we are actually nourishing our children, and so on. It has something to do also with the development of the brain. No, we have to be nourishing our brain properly. Now, the main point is in nourishment, we have to have at least a source of energy in order to come out with or to maximize the use of our brain cells. Then we are also going to improve our muscles through use of proteins and other minerals, like in the case of zinc and so on. These are all needed. In mental health also, these are all needed. In mental health, if you're going to look at our neuroreceptors, if you're going to look at the chemicals also, these are all protein in nature. The dopamine, yeah. So these are all protein in nature. So we need to have them. We need to have them in order to improve our intelligence as such, because there is a connection between malnutrition and mental retardation. So if you are actually mentally retarded, then there will be a big problem in this case. Now, mental retardation means to say that you cannot actually eventually develop your intelligence as such. Retardation means stopping the growth. So when you are going to have to stop the growth, then the process of decision making will also be affected, and the process of solving problems will also be affected. And we know for a fact that intelligence is actually defined as the process of successfully solving the problems that we may have. All right. So let us try to go on the other side of the coin, understanding the mentally retarded and at the same time understanding the mentally gifted. I believe everybody around us, there are so many people who are actually mentally gifted. It's just a matter of discovering our own potentials. We should know. Now, so let's start first with who the mentally retarded people are. Now, the mentally retarded has three essential features. What do you mean by mentally retarded? The process of mental growth is deficient, is different, brought about by first malnutrition. This is usually the problem. No, there could be a problem in terms of mental retardation. We have seen that in our development. You see, if you are going to look into the development of human organisms, they are supposed to be developed accordingly in terms of stages on specific period. When they are not developed on that specific period, then there will be a problem. We look at that in the context of Sigmund Freud as fixation. But if we are going to look at that in the context of intelligence, then that is what we call as retardation. You see? So there will be a problem in that one. Yeah? So intellectual functioning, if you are mentally retarded, must be significantly below average. I would like to emphasize again that the average individual who do have an average intelligence must be 100. As I mentioned to you, what is actually, or where you get that 100 from, the mental age divided by the chronological age times 100, that will be your IQ. And as always, if you are a 20-year-old, Rama, how old are you?
Excuse me?
How old are you? 20, right? 19 or 20?
I'm 18, actually.
Oh, very young. Okay, 18. So I'm going to get your example, no? 18. Now, when you think like an 18-year-old, act like an 18-year-old, behave like an 18-year-old. That is your mental age, okay? Now,
Yeah.
divided by your chronological age, you are 18 now. So 18 divided by 18, so that's 1 times 100. That is your IQ. So your IQ is 100. You get my point?
Yeah, I get it. But what is the IQ again, please? What is the IQ?
Okay. IQ, intelligence quotient.
Ah, yeah.
Now, let's go on something else. So you are 18.
Mhm.
You are 18, but you do not think like 18. Okay?
Yeah.
You think like 25-year-old. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The
Yeah,
way
yeah.
you
Not
the way
sure.
you the way you decide, your maturity, you act like 25. Then you behave like 25, yet you are 18. Do you think your IQ will still be 100?
No. I
No.
think it's more. Yeah.
Let's compute. You have your calculator with you. 125. You're thinking like 18. You're behaving like 18. You are acting like 18. Then 25. No, no. You are thinking like 25. You are acting like 25. You are behaving like 25. Okay. So let's
Okay.
try to divide 25
Mm-hmm.
divided by 18
It gives you 1.38.
times 100.
It is
100.
138.
Your IQ is 138.
Yeah.
That is on the level of genius. Okay?
Ooh.
Uh, that's
Okay.
that's mentally gifted. You get the point.
Yes,
Now,
I get it.
I'll give you another example. Looking into your age, you are 18, okay,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
you don't act like 18,
Yeah.
but you act like 15. You know
Oh God. It's going to
how
be
do
less for sure.
you,
It's going to
how do you
be
do
it's
15?
going to be 15 divided by 18
Oh,
multiplied by 100.
yeah. How much you got?
Oh my God. I will be so, oh my God. So I'm going to be 83. I'm going to be 83. Oh my
below
God.
that's below average IQ. You get the point?
Yes. Yes, I got it.
Okay. So you act like you are a childish. Your decisions you cannot decide. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes,
But
yes.
class, you know what I mean also? You're following the example that I'm giving you. Okay. So let us try to look into the mentally retarded, no? So in that context, all right. So you know already how to compute. Now, intellectual functioning must be significantly below average. So what again is the average IQ? It must be, anyone? An average IQ must be
100?
100.
100. Very good. Okay. 1 over 1 times 100. If you think like 18 and you are 18, then 18 divided by 18 equals 1 times 100 equals 100. Okay. Now,
Doctor, I have a question.
well, okay, yes.
Like, how do you know the baseline for the age you're thinking? Like, for example, you said, like you're thinking if you're 18 and you're thinking like 18, your IQ will be 100. How do you know that you're thinking like 18?
IQ test, my dear. Psychometric test. So you have to undergo tests. You know what I mean? It can be measured. The way you think, the way you decide, the way you are actually solving the problem, maybe beyond that. But of course, I am just actually giving you a glimpse on what is supposed to be, how you are going to be eating, thinking, or behaving, or acting beyond your age. By the way, you will know that by yourselves also, no? By the process of determination, isn't it? When you are acting like more than your age, isn't it? Then you must be different and you must actually be higher than average, isn't it?
Yeah. Like everyone will say that you're so mature.
Yes, and by yourselves also. But of course,
Yeah.
this can be quantified using the IQ test, as I mentioned to you earlier. You get it? Under our IQ test, now that we can actually give you in order to confirm what is the supposed to be IQ that you may actually have. The most important thing is that your mental age, then your chronological age, no? So that can be measured. Did I answer correctly, Aya, your question?
Yes, yes, doctor. Thank you.
All right, moving forward. Intelligence test scores of below 70. Ah, so Rama, isn't it? A while ago when
Yeah.
you were thinking like 15, so your IQ is, you
83,
computed it
yeah.
to be 83. Now it's still
Yeah.
higher. But look at this.
Yeah.
Intelligence test scores of below 70 or 2 standard deviations below the mean are considered below average. There could be mental retardation in that case. But
Mm-hmm.
at 83, you are not yet mentally retarded, but yet you are childish. Yeah?
Yes.
Moving forward, significant deficits in adaptive functioning must be very evident. So this is very important. Now, adaptive functioning. You are 18, but you are not acting like 18, and you cannot solve the problem associated with 18-year-old, then there must be a problem. Because here, adaptive functioning is evident. Must be evident. Do you understand what I mean? So there is a problem with how you adapt with the environment that you may have. So there will be a problem in that case. Then there will be mental retardation. Now, adaptive functioning refers to social competence. You will not be able to communicate with other people. You tend to be very shy. You tend to be very quiet. No? So that is actually way, way different from what is actually expected on your chronological age. Right? So then there will be a problem. Actually, the onset of mental retardation is prior the age of 18. I'm so sure you are all college boys and girls, so you are not mentally retarded, right? So you are safe, isn't it? You know,
Hopefully.
you know what I mean? The onset must be prior to age 18. There are people really who could not actually adapt and who cannot actually move on. So it will be very, very difficult. They cannot even decide. All right, moving forward. Uh, let us try to look into your IQ. So the levels of IQ, right? And the levels of mental retardation. Okay, so my level of IQ score, look at this, no? So 50 to 70, that is way, way back. Our computation a while ago, 18 divided by 15, you come out with 83. Still okay. But what about if you are 18 and you are thinking like 10? Can you compute that? Or
Yeah.
you are 18 and you are thinking or acting like, is it 10 so that we can come out lower, no? Can you
So
do
it's going
that?
to be 0.55. So 0.5. Oh my God, 55.
It's 55. Oh, you are mild, mild. Your
Super
mental
mild.
mental retardation is actually mild, no? In that case, imagine you are 18 and you are thinking like 15. Yeah?
Yeah.
You are thinking like 10, so you got 55, no? Now, what do we have here? So what is the descriptions? They may learn academic skills up to 6th grade. Yeah, you are safe because I said you are in college already. Yeah? Adults may, with assistance, achieve self-supporting social and vocational skills. They can do little things. Okay? They can do small things at home. They can help also. What about moderate? Very, very low, about 10%, no? So when you are 18 and you are thinking like an 8 or a 9-year-old, way, way back different, isn't it? So that's around 10% of all the mentally retarded. So the IQ is in between 35 to 45. Now, may progress to 2nd grade level, grade 2. Academically, adults may contribute to their own support by labor in sheltered workshop. It must be guided. And severe mental retardation, 20. Their IQ is 20. Imagine that, no? You are 20 and you are thinking like a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, no? Something like that. Severe. We learn to talk and perform simple work tasks under supervision, but are generally unable to profit from vocational training, and they cannot even take care of themselves. While if the IQ is 2, very, very low already, they cannot even think. So profound, it requires constant aid and supervision. They are like infants already. And there are people like that. Have you seen people like that? Profound mental retardation where they cannot even think, they cannot even take care of themselves, they cannot even take a bath. by themselves. They need to be assisted. This is actually the level of mental retardation that we know. You should know this because as nurses, you will come across with these people eventually. If you will be working in the mental hospital, if you will be working in adult nursing, you will see there are so many patients who are acting the same way like this. You get it? So that you should know how to deal with them. Don't expect that every person will actually work to pen themselves once that they reach 18. So we are going to look at the 18 years of age. Then we are going to look into their capacity and capability. Will they be able to take care of themselves? Then if they are not, then there will be a problem. Maybe they are mentally retarded. The level of mental retardation is just like what I mentioned to you. We start with mild, only they can be polyfunctioning. They can actually be very helpful. They may actually reach high school. No, for moderate, they may be also productive. They may take care of themselves, but with supervision in workshop. In severe mental retardation, we need to closely monitor them. They may assist themselves. They may take care of themselves, but often very close supervision by anyone. Profound, totally like children, they cannot take care of themselves. We are going to provide all their needs, all that is required, including eating, bathing, relieving themselves. Then we have to take care of them as such. There are people like that, but it's only around 2% of those who are mentally retarded. Okay, very few, but we can see them in the hospital. We'll take care of them. All right. Any questions so far? Now, of course, above 100, we will not be able to take care of them, because it's assumed that when your IQ is 100, you are normal and you can take care of themselves. Much more if your IQ is more than normal, that is above 100. We have above average, so you can take care the more about yourself. So there is no need for you to look into that. But of course, as an individual, you should recognize, because you can always nourish the giftedness of that particular individual. There are so many geniuses in our society who are not taken care of by parents, so they lost steam. Therefore, their genius is wasted. No, maybe their genius may be used in other things, in bad things. There are people like that. Huh? So we have to spot. That is actually the area of psychologists. Now, as parents, you should recognize the giftedness of your children. You will see that very early. Do not force them, but you can actually recognize their giftedness. And the moment you're going to recognize their giftedness, then give your full assistance so that they may nurture more the giftedness. All right. So we are done with that. Then let's proceed with emotional intelligence. This is intelligence aside from our intelligence, or that we know of. Now, the ability to solve problems. All right. Utilizing the information that we have. Now, emotional intelligence is actually very crucial and very important. This is a point of contention as of now, because there are so many psychologists who are advocating this. Non-psychologists also are prolixing into this, Yeah. So emotional intelligence, what is actually the implication and the importance of this in the field of psychology. Now, the concept of emotional intelligence has gained popularity in 1998, no? And there are two opposing views that emerge. Psychology is just like that. There are always different point of views. And if we are going to do that, then that is very healthy, no? In order to improve one's profession, there must always be opposing points. Psychologists, scientists, people are actually originating something just because they don't like the knowledge generated prior, to their education. So that's the thing. That's the beauty of it, Two opposing ideas, two opposing schools of thought will always benefit the profession where you belong to. Right. Now, one view is that emotional intelligence includes almost everything related to success that is not measured by IQ. You see? So they are already disregarding IQ. But as a psychologist, I cannot see a point. You see? If you're going to look into the context of multiple intelligence, success could only be generated if you are actually good into one area or two areas. Like, for instance, always, success would always be equated with how you are contributing to the society and the society acknowledges you. You see? So a view that emotional intelligence includes almost everything related to success, but that is not measured by IQ. Yeah? But I believe those people who are actually successful all throughout generations are very good, no? Forrest Gump, Forrest Gump. I thought if you're going to look at the movie, I suggest you look at the movie Forrest Gump. Did you watch the movie Forrest Gump already? Not yet? I think Forrest Gump is in the YouTube now. You can actually type Forrest Gump and it's very good, no? So we thought all the while that Forrest Gump IQ is low, but he is really not, he does not have any low IQ. His IQ is really high. No? He tries to learn one thing at a time. No? Another one. The other view argues for a more restricted view where emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to perceive and understand emotional information. One, the measure of emotional intelligence is success without IQ. Number two is that the other point of view is that emotional intelligence is your ability to perceive and understand emotional information. The bottom line is, again, you need to acquire emotional information, understand it, and use that to benefit you and other people. This is according to me here, among others, in 2000. So these are the two conflicting views about intelligence. In number one, no IQ. In number two, it's supposed to have IQ. You see? All right. So this is the model of emotional intelligence that we know of. Center, emotions. This will be our next topic, by the way, the psychology of emotions. No? So I believe it will be very helpful if you would like to understand this, because we are going to study about the theory of snake. But that will be our next topic here. Now, it will benefit you more. So this is the center of everything, emotion. Among these emotions, there are three areas that you can actually influence it: your decisions, your behavior, and your performance. Now, on the outlying side, there will be emotional self-awareness, knowing your emotional state, emotional expression, you see, emotional awareness of others. This one is yours, self, and this one is understanding the emotion of others. Then emotional reasoning, justification of what emotions you are trying to display. Then emotional self-management. If you are angry, you try to tone it down. If you are sad, you try to relieve yourself from sadness, and so on. Then emotional management of others, you try to reach out with other people who are actually having emotional problem or stress. And then emotional self-control, the ability to control what we are going to show, like in the case of anger, no? How do we control ourselves? That all would be the measure of our emotional intelligence. So we will have to look at that holistic in nature. The baseline is that we should have a better understanding, good understanding on our emotion, so that we will utilize this emotion to help other people and to help ourselves. That's emotional intelligence, no? Knowing your own emotion, understanding your own emotion, at the same time helping others to solve their own emotions. So they are already debating, no? And this is one criteria that we should actually try to understand. In intelligence, we are looking into the process of utilizing a different knowledge that we acquire in order to solve problem. Here, in understanding emotional intelligences, we have to look into the nature or the kind of emotions that we may have. We try to nourish it, nurture that, so that we can be useful to ourselves and we can be useful to others. We can help others also. The moment we can actually connect with other people, then we can actually help them. So in that case, you will be able to utilize your own emotion to benefit others. That spells success. Yeah? So moving forward, Goldman was a very good person. Actually, he wrote a book about emotional intelligence. I do not know if you read the book, Emotional Intelligence, but I have that since long time back, 20 years ago. I read the first edition of Goldman's Emotional Intelligence. No, in 1988, 1998, he defined emotional intelligence as including abilities such as being able to motivate oneself, motivation of oneself, and persist in the face of frustration. How are you reacting and acting in frustrations? Controlling impulses and delaying gratifications. In order to regulate your mood, keep the stress in check, or from swamping your ability to think and to empathize and hope. No? And more recently, in 1998 also, he defined emotional intelligence as your capacity for recognizing your own feelings and those of others. So I have shown you this, your capacity to recognize your own emotional feelings and those of others. This is what is emphasized here, no? All right. Then to motivate ourselves to go on and on and on despite of frustrations, and to manage emotions as well as in ourselves and in our relationship. So when we are going to connect with other people, we are going to we are going to utilize a lot of emotional connections. Our emotion must always jive with their emotion. We can only do that if we will understand our emotion and the emotion of other people. So we know, and we know to get in, how to get in, and where to get in. So this is actually what they emphasize here. We do not want any more intelligence in this case. No more intelligence as in the process of utilizing the information that we have to solve problem, but here utilizing our emotion to benefit us in other people. Yes. Any questions so far? Would you like to share something?
I have a question, doctor.
Yes.
What do you think is the hardest intelligence to earn?
I still believe that intelligence, it depends. No, intelligence is actually equal in all four things. The ability to, you see, if you utilize the information that you may actually have, then you can actually use that in order to solve problems that you may have. Problems may come at work. Problems may come every day in your everyday life. Problems may come in terms of,
You know,
you know,
doctor, I want you to choose. Like, for example, tell me, is it like give me a specific answer. Do you think it's emotional intelligence or nature or music or etc.? What do you think?
okay, you're pertaining to that because right now there are so many things that we are actually discussing. Now, every single intelligence is actually independent from the other. Yeah. So there is no such thing as level. There is level one, there is level two, there is level three. So we assume that if we're going to place level, the top is the most difficult thing to achieve. That is actually the question that you are trying to ask me, isn't it?
Which is what?
And
What is the top?
we cannot always look into that. Now it depends on the situations that we have, because all intelligence that we know of right now will be in equal footing. You know, because we are not all equipped with understanding and acquiring all these intelligences that we have. We may have only two or three.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean to say that if we do not have that, we are not intelligent anymore. You
Mhm.
see, we utilize these intelligences in order to help ourselves and other people to make a sound decision. So that's why I keep on telling you that every intelligence is actually independent from another. There is no such thing as intelligent is higher than the other. You get the point?
So you
Everything
can
is
so you
equal.
can't actually so you can't actually decide or specify which intelligence is the hardest to gain, right?
That alone is utilizing information. You get the
Yeah.
point. That alone is requiring information. That alone is trying to solve the problem. You see, if that
Mm-hmm.
is your problem, then you can actually utilize the information that we have in order to solve the problem. But I'm trying to point out to you is that all intelligences that we know of are in equal footing. We may have them or we may not have them. But as
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you will be able to utilize this to solve your problems, day-to-day problems, professional problems, academic problems, then you are actually intelligent in your own way. And as per the approaches that we may actually have, this is actually a fair definition. No, in the process approach, very simple, the process of solving the problem, day-to-day problem that we have. In psychometric approach, intelligence may be measured, but not classified. You get the point?
Yes.
Intelligence may be measured but not classified. But there
Mm-hmm.
are theorists who actually came after that using psychometric approach, they classified several types of intelligences.
Mm-hmm.
But these are all intelligences according to factors. Now, you may utilize and recognize that nature of intelligence to suit for your own advantage in order to become successful. Academic,
Yes.
for instance, creative, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You say creative. I like this triarchic approach on intelligence. You know why? Because creativity
Yeah.
is undiscussed most of the time. It's looked down most of the time. If you're a writer, you write. If you are a painter, you paint. If you are actually going to decide on something and you tap your creativeness, then you will be creative at work. That will be good. That is intelligent. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But the bottom line is again, we cannot actually level. We cannot actually assign a specific intelligence on specific level, like in each hierarchy. There is level 1, then there must be level 5. You cannot do that. Yeah?
Yes. 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 I
You,
got
you,
you.
get, you get the point.
Yes,
Now,
I
the
did.
thing is, if you recognize one inkling of an intelligence that you may have, you nourish it, you hone it, and you utilize that eventually to help yourselves and to help other people. That is also what is emphasized in emotional intelligence. No,
Mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence is understanding their own emotion and understanding the emotion of others, utilizing all these concepts in order to become successful in life.
When I asked myself this question, I said that, I think emotional intelligence is the hardest. But then
Mm,
when I thought, like when I started thinking about it again, I said
mm.
that, okay, all of us have feelings, and in one point of our lives, we are going to like think with our feelings. So I don't think it is, hard to gain emotional intelligence,
Yes.
So yeah, I think it
I
depends on the person. I think
yeah.
it depends on the person.
I suggest you read the book of Goldman. You have a copy. If you
No.
want, if you want to have a copy, then I can actually give you a soft copy of that.
Yeah, yeah, that
I'll
would
be
be
very,
useful.
I'll be very happy to share because actually the discussion of Goldman is very comprehensive in any
Mm-hmm.
way. It's a very thick book. No, he started discussing about physiology of emotions, so many things. No, I can
Yeah.
share that with the class eventually. You can download that from my website within the day. I promise you, I will give you emotional intelligence so that you can actually read. No, somewhat. It's a good thing that you're very interested. Now, emotional intelligence is really a new concept still. No, although it started in 1998, there are so many controversies here because one area of emotional intelligence that they devoid IQ. Imagine that one concept, as I mentioned earlier, one view, emotional intelligence that includes almost everything related to success, not measured by IQ. For me, this is a controversial. Yeah, you get the point? Because the capacity to utilize your IQ in order to control your emotion is still the best. And in number two, it has already an IQ because you utilize everything, no? In order to understand your emotion and understand the emotion of other people. So this is exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Yeah? Okay. So thank you so much for your participation. And I'm very happy about on discussing this. No, thank God that we have time because usually I don't usually attach this. You know what I mean. But as of now, We have plenty of time to discuss so many things, and I'll be very happy to share with you so many things. The next topic that we will have after intelligence will be emotion, psychology of emotion, and that will be equally interesting also. Yeah? Okay? So our time check is 10:30. I would like you to write present and your ID number in the message board. Then that will serve as my attendance. Okay? If you have any question, you say it now. Then if none, we call it a day. All right? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doc.